is really the hub.
Center.
I mean, it's the hub. Everybody's going to congregate at Ross's Dock. Then you're talking about a couple thousand guys and girls, maybe
Yeah.
3,000.
I'll tell you, it's about probably wind up being, because I'm sure people will drop out, probably be about 2,500 participants.
That's correct, because they say,
It'll
good.
wind up being, the opportunity goes beyond the participants, because it's more than likely that all the official gatherings, the athlete check-in, the village, the hotel, many of those will probably be in Manhattan, but that doesn't mean that people won't look for less expensive places to stay, which would include Fort Lee, or also easier.
It's also closer.
It's closer to the transition, which means it's easier to transport their gear before and after the race.
So
that's something we should promote, but it's also all the spectators. There are
Yeah.
probably going to be, you figure, anywhere from 5 to 10 spectators per person, plus volunteers, which are largely going to be based here. That's a great opportunity for some of the local restaurants to be involved as far as providing food and such and support for all those groups. So it's really a huge opportunity. I think someone said for Lake Placid, I think it's about $9 million just for race weekend. But
Okay.
we also have training camp weekends and such that we can try and get the word out. for people
I
coming.
could tell you how new this issue is. There are some council people that are looking at you and then me saying, what triathlon? That's how new the issue is. But as I told you, August 11th, and the way it goes is they all convene at Ross's Dock, which is Fort Lee. They get barged up 2 or 3 miles up the river. They then start their swim, which I believe is 2.1 miles?
2.4.
2.4 miles. They swim to temporary docks at Ross's Dock. They then get on their bicycles, which are, some of these bicycles are $15,000 each. They ride through some of the streets in the PIP, and then up through Hudson Terrace. They drive approximately a mile, just the exit to the PIP, just past Strictly Cycles in Fort Lee. They then go approximately 50 miles up, 50 miles. I think it's a 127-mile bike run.
Yeah, I think they're doing 2 loops on there, so it's about 25 up and back, and then again up and back.
Correct.
And then
About 125 miles, I believe, in total. 112. And then they return to Ross's Dock. They get off their bikes and they put their running gear on and they run back up Hudson's.
I think they're doing the run mostly in the park, so they're running north towards Alpine, then coming back south, and then coming out of the park.
They're going back up that PIP for the run, and then again through Fort Lee. So the initial thought is that's what's hopefully cast in stone. And by the way, all the overtime we incur, we get reimbursed. We did hopeful to set up bleachers and all sorts of arrangements so that the public here in Fort Lee can see that portion which goes through Hudson Terrace. But they've also asked if we would be interested to involve more of Fort Lee internally. And what I mean by that is if maybe they would be allowed to use a few miles of our roadways for either the bike portion or the run portion. And it would appear that the bike would be more feasible because it's a smaller window. There's going to be a lot less disparity in times between bikers as opposed to the runners. The thought is, on that day, if we can do it without shutting down the borough, and I think we can, I'd love to get them past Constitution Park, where maybe we can have an outdoor concert on that day. We can have a community barbecue. We can have perhaps a band. We'll have the room for kids and chairs and all of that to be set up. I think it would be a great event for the community and perhaps get them through some of our internal roadways. You got to understand, these roads get shut down from the second the race starts until they're done. So it is a complete shutdown, but we met with the traffic department, and we're confident we're going to be able to make an arrangement where the vehicles and pedestrians are going to be able to move about the borough, and we're also going to be able to become even more of a host to this event, because we do play a very, very important role in this World Championship.
Right. I would say, one thing, I'd like to volunteer my time as far as having people from the town involved, and I'll mail that letter to you and include my contact information for that. But I would definitely encourage the council to do whatever is, not to completely bend over backwards for WTC, but the number of people that come through as far as a profile, especially as we do develop that plot of land.
Yes, sir.
And want to become a host community for this, because it's something that I know next year is the final year of the Lake Placid contract, and talking with people who live in that area, they want it to be renewed because of the amount of revenue that it brings into the town. And it can be the same way for Fort Lee. If this is a 5-10 year and then it really just stays here permanently, people will just have their favorite restaurants.
Oh, it's
that
gonna be a
they'll
lot
come
of
to.
fun. It's
They'll have their
televised.
place to stay. It'll be
National
well,
TV, there's helicopters that are following them around. I mean, so it's just
will
gonna be cool.
Yeah, this is going to be the U.S. Championship. It will. It's sold
US,
out in
I'm sorry.
12. Yeah, it will. It's sold out in 12 minutes.
Yep.
At $900 per entry fee. That is how much people.
You know, I
want
went to
be in
sign
the
up and I
race.
got shut out. I'm disappointed, otherwise
You
it
know,
would.
I didn't even.
I'll have to go with a different triathlon.
Yeah, I didn't even try because I wanted to get my first one under my belt. But it's something that it's a great event. People really enjoy it. Whether it's the bike or the run, whichever one they look to do, I would encourage the borough to find a way to get it done because if they do want to change the course other than having it on Hudson Terrace because of the high profile, people will walk around. You know, they'll see whoever they want to cheer on, and then they might walk around, go to Main Street, visit some of the restaurants.
They're giving us. They're giving us latitude. They're giving us latitude. They're not putting very many parameters on it. Quite frankly, they are encouraging us to participate in it. Look, they got Hudson Terrace. They're going to go up. That's it. They're providing us with the offer. Obviously, we need to be conscientious of not shutting the borough down. But I got to tell you, I've said this 100 times, I don't want to be just brick and mortar. Any event that's going to bring people together where they could walk with their kids and go, look at this, it's going to be a great event. We were trying to somehow, maybe we were talking about preliminarily getting them to the community center with the fountain where we could have something else, something.
Right. If something along those lines can be done, which certainly, I mean, I can see where they would be exiting, where you could get them from there and then come back down. It would be the wrong way.
So we got to go through all this.
Constitution.
We're going to weigh this all with the council and everybody else.
It really is something that, really I would encourage you to strongly consider, not dismiss easily. And because it is a great event, and as I said, there's probably anywhere from 5 to 10 people in addition to the volunteers. So especially if you can have it, especially if we can arrange it where there will be an aid station somewhere along that route that comes through town, that's all those volunteers, which then opens it up to a local restaurant to provide the food and everything, provide the supplies, whatever it might be.
They're going to put an aid station. If we do it past one of the hubs I just mentioned, there will be a manned aid station.
That would be huge because that's something that, would then allow us to provide that food for those volunteers throughout the day.
Yes, sir.
And most spectators, they don't go home. They get out here at 6 a.m., they look for their swimmer, and then they're here until their athlete finishes. So they don't go home and bounce back and forth. They stay in town. So that's really something that's huge that we would want to have, whether it's a local band in Constitution Park that gives them something to do where they can sit up, not just for the athletes, which would make it more fun for them, but also for the spectators. That way it's easier for them to stay in town because, I don't know how easy it would be for them to get up, they can go on Palisades North, but then to come back south, they would miss something. So most people will probably stay in this immediate area, and that's...
I'm with you. I'm fully supportive of it.
Yeah, and in truth, aside from just closing down the roads, just for the race, something that will also need to be considered is we might need to close down some just for ease of congestion for the spectators because of the number of people.
We're going to deal with it. Lieutenant Bendel I had Lieutenant Bendel at the meeting. Actually, Pat Cassane attended, and like I said, we have to be obviously conscientious about the public to make sure that it's not a complete shutdown of the town. But we're confident we're going to be able to do it in a way where we have the coexistence of circulating within our own borough and serving as host to a U.S. championship of this triathlon, which I think is going to be a lot of fun, and it's just going to be an excuse for the town to get together. And, we do things right when we play host to things, and we're looking forward to it. But thank you for your comments.
And I will get that letter to you with,
Please do.
with my contact information.
Please do.
There's probably no other community in this country that deals with traffic as well as Fort Lee.
I think that'll be a big strength in figuring this out. That's why it's going to be a great event, I can tell you, having seen one, having been a spectator for a couple and participated in one.
I'm glad you said that, Joe, and I'm also very proud to tell you, which you guys are going to get a memo from me, there were a multitude of boroughs that were being considered to play this part, this cog in the wheel. And we were selected for a number of reasons, which, we don't need to get into now, but, namely security and the type of folks that are here. But thank you very much. Anyone else from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Mayor and Council. My name is Aria Jenkins. I live at 1231 Inwood Terrace.
Welcome.
And thank you. This isn't a new subject. I'm sure other people have brought it up, and I've actually talked about it before here, but it's an issue of great concern. So I'm going to read a letter that I wrote to you, which covers the range of my concerns related to this issue a lot better than were I to try to do it myself without the assistance of this. Dear Mayor Sokolich and members of the council, as a concerned citizen and resident of the town of Fort Lee, I urge you again to consider some system of additional support for helping to maintain traffic safety and the safety of pedestrians on our streets. Driving and crossing streets at dusk and after dark in Fort Lee is a nightmare. The lighting is awful, cars do not see you, and pedestrians are constantly taking risks they should not. The other day, 2 people and a dog crossed directly in front of our car as we took a turn on Anderson. They were only a few yards ahead and would have been completely invisible except that the dog, being white, stood out. Teenagers are constantly crossing Main Street and other streets with their headsets on, barely conscious of the fact that they are stepping in front of moving cars. Fort Lee is filled with foreigners, many of whom it seems do not know how to cross the street properly. At dusk and at night, this can be lethal. I am terrified of driving down our streets when they are dark, out of fear someone will step into the street unseen at an improper intersection and get struck by me or someone else. It's not just that the lighting is lousy, pedestrians do not cross mindfully. I'm aware that steps have been taken to curtail those who do not give the proper right-of-way to pedestrians when they cross streets, and that tickets have been issued at Hudson Terrace, for example, for this. But there are many intersections and streets that require more vigilance, and pedestrians also need to be held accountable by the law. Crossing from any corner at the Lemoyne Avenue and Bruce Reynolds Boulevard intersection, for example, where last March an elderly woman was killed, is supremely dangerous. I stand on this corner every Thursday from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. during a peace vigil and observe with horror and annoyance how pedestrians trying to cross Bruce Reynolds Boulevard and Lemoyne just barely escape with their lives. Where are the police and authorities at the rush hour? Often they are keeping track of the traffic flow to the GWB or rushing to some other emergency, but they should also be assisting pedestrians crossing at this location. Those of us who vigil at this intersection must also help people get across the street and constantly call to attention those driving and crossing streets. We need to do more to ensure the safety of people in our town by A, having greater police vigilance, a traffic alert cop or cops at the rush hour and after dark, and B, targeting pedestrians as well as drivers if they do not cross streets at the proper time and place. We all need to be more responsible about the way we drive, especially after dark, and the way we cross streets, and to give stronger encouragement to our children to follow suit so they are likely to be mindful for themselves and others. This is a serious problem, and I count on the mayor and council in Fort Lee to give it greater attention. Thank you for your consideration of this letter. Today alone, at that corner that I was talking about at Bruce Reynolds and Lemoyne, somebody did a U-turn right in the middle of the rush hour. We vigil there from 5:30 to 6:30. There's no cop, there's no stopping people who do this. We're constantly trying to help people cross that Lemoyne Avenue street, which doesn't have an automatic switch for pedestrians to cross. And I'm sorry this comes on the heels of, somebody trying to talk about, how great the town is, which it is in many ways as a place for everyone. But I'm talking about it really being, this issue of the traffic needs to be strengthened so that visitors as well as locals can feel safer. It's just a daily event.
I'm going to take your letter, and as a matter of fact, Monday morning I have an appointment with Lieutenant Bendel from the Traffic Department, and I'll see what steps, if any, we can take to improve on the situation. I know of the situation you're referring to. I know exactly where you hold your vigil, and we shall look into it. If I'm not mistaken, Peggy, that's a Port Authority part of the obligation there also, which it's a Port Authority intersection. They're supposed to man it. They're supposed to enforce it. They're supposed to police it. I can assure you they don't. because of their cutbacks, which puts the responsibility on us. That's not an excuse. I'm just telling you what the story is. I will take your letter and I will give it to Scott, and if we need any more information, I shall reach out for you, okay?
Okay, thank you,
You
Mayor and
have my word.
Council.
You have my word, I will do that, and I will report back to you.
Great, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Here's the letter, shall I give it?
You know what, give it, please, if you could give it to Peggy, and then,
Thanks, Peggy.
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else from the public like to be heard? Mrs. Kapinski?
It's Anna Jane Lipinski, Linwood Park, Fort Lee.
How are you, Mr. Lipinski?
Oh, quite well, sir, and yourself?
Very good, thank you. Well, it
I
depends
think-
on what you're going to say. I'll let you know in a minute.
I think, first of all, I think you all did a wonderful job at the Port Authority. I saw several of you on TV, and of course, you all have gotten the message across.
Thank you.
Loud and clear.
Thank you.
In language that anyone could understand.
You know, we have a lot of union folks in this borough also, and it's not easy taking that position. I get it. So, like I said, I'm just hopeful that they're going to be able to carve out a solution to this where it's a win-win.
Oh, yes, I'm sure in the end it will be resolved
Yes, ma'am.
one way or the other, mostly the other, but... And the next thing I just want to say is, first of all, that it has been a wonderful summer season here in Fort Lee, between the concerts, the Shakespeare, the movies, and just about anything else you can think of, farmers market. There's been just so much going on and all. But one of the great things that has happened is that Cheryl Weston and her staff of employees, very talented, have built this wonderful replica of the George Washington Bridge right at the community center on the stage. And when you're attending a concert, and of course, once it begins to get dark, this replica of the bridge is so magnificent. Now, last night, they had this replica in red, white, and blue,
This is actually news to me.
and it is just so magnificent. I think everyone should attend a concert or whatever else is going on and just see this, everyone here in the borough of Fort Lee. I mean, it's just mind-boggling that our staff could put this together.
That's nice to hear, Mrs. Lipinski. I will tell you, the staff here and many of the employees never cease to amaze us. Wait till you see the 9/11 memorial, and you'll be saying the same thing, and I think we'd all agree with that.
Oh,
But
I
thank
know.
you. I'm glad you
Are we
pointed
going
it
to
out.
have seats there?
We're going to have seats. We're going to have about 150 seats, right, Peggy? So 150 to 200 seats, and they'll be strewn about because there's trees all over, but come, it's going to be a great, great day. The Cafasso family is donating the refreshments. I believe Starbucks is involved, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Well,
Oh,
not fun. I mean, it's
it
going to be
should be.
a good, great event.
See, the season just continues. It just goes from the summer into the fall, and then the winter, and then
We
we'll
have the
have the tree
5K runs
lighting.
coming. We have the bike-a-thon coming. We have the
Senior Citizen Picnic?
Senior Citizen Picnic.
Yes.
We got the newest Fort Lee tradition, our holiday tree lighting.
Oh, last year the lighting was magnificent.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, another mind-boggling feat by our borough
Yeah,
employees.
it's great. Thank you.
But everyone has to see this replica of the bridge.
We're going to take a look at it. We're
Cheryl
going to take
and
a
her
look at it.
staff did a wonderful job.
Mrs. Lipinski, they built a bridge without a toll booth, right?
Oh, absolutely, no tolls. No tolls, and thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Lipinski.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to interject one
Please.
thing. The community center has rescheduled the 3 tenors for everybody. They were rained out twice already, so it's rescheduled for August 29th at 7:30.
And they're one of our big concerts, too, right?
That's one of our big concerts, and the last concert, of course, on August 31st, is the Duprees. So I know
How many
people
people?
don't want
About
to...
1,000, 2,000 people go to that?
No, maybe between 5 and 1,000, I would think,
Really?
500 and 1,000. But you could see the George Washington Bridge there. They did a terrific job. I was there last night, and It was nice, it was lit up, red, white, and blue, and,
They must have just done it, because I went to a few of the concerts.
yeah, and of course, there, like Councilman Severi said, there's no toll booth there.
Good. Dr. Levinson?
Thank you. I want to thank you in particular for R1, that is against the tolls, and for all of you who came to the meeting at the Port Authority, and thank you, Mayor, for speaking and what you said. And I also want to thank Mr. Sugarman for what he said. There were a lot of people there, and if some of them, like some of those orange shirts, will have less of a job, I feel sorry for them, but I feel that the amount that they're asking for is very inflationary, which is one thing I wish I had said, but I didn't think of it till afterwards. But people can't keep paying and paying and paying, and this is like a tax. If you work in the city, you have to pay for it. You have to get across. And when I drove across in the city, it would have taken me 2 hours for a 3/4 of an hour drive. So I really want to thank you for all of this, and for everybody who
through a
came.
thought process. I mean, there's also a school of thought that the higher that toll, the less people are apt to use the bridge. The less people are apt to use the bridge, the less of a traffic impact on our borough. I mean, you know,
Higher the tolls go because of...
All right, the tolls-
and the higher the tolls will go, and it'll spiral upward, spiral
I have a
downward.
very good suggestion for you. The
Which I
tolls
find
should go out, not for
Marty.
Fort Lee residents.
What's that?
Will exempt Fort Lee residents.
I wish we could, Nina.
Then they'll take you an hour to get over the
You know,
bridge.
there is a body of law known as a host community law. For example, there are communities where they have a public utility or a public authority in it, and they get benefits from that authority. We don't, that law unfortunately is not applicable
Well,
to the Port Authority.
the bridge is costing us enough.
It is.
They're supposed to police of what this lady spoke about.
They don't.
But
No.
their police are not visible,
No.
except a few years ago, I was parking in the parking lot here, and I pulled in my car, and it wasn't perfectly parallel to the white lines. I was told off, and I was told to repark my car, which I didn't
Dr.
do.
Levinson, my colleague here and I got a ticket from the Port Authority for parking in our lot. In our own lot.
Recently, Curb Your Enthusiasm did a whole episode on guys that didn't park straight in their parking spot. Did you probably inspire it? Doctor, anything else?
Yes, there's one more thing that I wanted
Wait,
to
I
say.
think it's the...
Yesterday, I went by the park and I stopped to look at the monument. They were working on it. It is sensitive and beautiful.
Thank you. I think they
I
really...
really think they've done a superb job. I don't know who designed it.
The committee, basically designed it during the course of our meetings.
It's really exceptional.
And Mike Maresca, and Tony Leone, and General Services, DPW did a phenomenal job.
Unavoidably,
In-house. And
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff, not only the steel, obviously, from the towers, but the Lombardo family with the steel to, display the plaques. Kramer, once again, as usual, with the special machinery and the crane to install it. There's always, the same names are just constantly giving, and it's
and
great.
I'm very happy about the one display of plaques for our own
Yes,
departments.
we're excited about
all
that
our
also.
own departments. Unavoidably, I'll be out on the 11th. I'll be thinking of you. I'll be thinking of what I'm missing. But this is why I wanted to look at it in particular. Thank you very much.
Doctor, anyone else from the public? Before I conclude, I've been asked to read a letter from Kathleen Donovan, the Bergen County Executive. As the 10th anniversary of the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks approaches, we, the county, are making plans for 2 remembrance ceremonies to celebrate the lives of the 148 Bergen County residents lost on that tragic day. The first ceremony will be held on Thursday, September 8, 2011 at 12 o'clock p.m. in the Piazza parking lot of 1 Bergen County Plaza. The second will be on Sunday, September 11th at 3 o'clock p.m. at the 9/11 Memorial in Overpeck Park in Leonia. Both ceremonies will be attended by invited guests, Bergen County residents, employees, veterans, police, firefighters, and EMTs who have a direct connection to the events of 9/11. All are welcome, and I would like to invite you to attend either or both ceremonies if your schedules will allow. Additionally, after the September 8th ceremony, you're also invited to view an exhibit of the 9/11 memorials from municipalities throughout Bergen County. The exhibit will be on display in the lobby of One Bergen County Plaza. So again, September 8th, 12 o'clock p.m. in the Piazza at the Bergen County Courthouse in the Piazza, and also September 11th, Sunday, at 3 o'clock p.m. at the 9/11 Memorial in Overpeck. With that, do I hear a motion?
Mayor, I want to add one thing about the Port Authority. The one thing that they said that they needed all this money for was a big infrastructure program, including the redoing of the cables. That's something new to us that never came to our attention before. But the thing that I was watching a PBS show that must have been a rerun that was made about 6 or 7 years ago, and they were showing the George Washington Bridge, and it was on a celebration, I think it's the 75th anniversary. And one of the things that was in that documentary was a plan to build this helix. The helix was supposed to run from the Palisades Interstate Parkway to the lower level of the bridge. They showed that to be completed. Estimated completion date was 2010. Well, we're 2011. We haven't heard boo about it. Our traffic continues to escalate. And the Port Authority has completely ignored a major capital program which they promised to this community and never delivered upon. So that wasn't brought up the other day. I didn't think about it until afterwards when I was looking through all these other things that they're planning on. All these union workers have plenty of work to do. Had they done the helix, that would have kept people gainfully employed for many years. So let's not forget that the Port Authority sometimes speaks out of both sides of their mouth.
And also, we should remember that they took property that was on our tax rolls
Right.
to build that helix.
That's right. To build the helix,
Now it's a parking lot for their vehicles.
so we've asked that we take a look to see about putting that back on the tax rolls, because obviously they shouldn't be banking land that should be contributing to the borough of Fort Lee.
Use it. Could even use it, something, I agree.
Right.
All right, guys, anything else? Motion to close?
So moved.
Good night all, enjoy the rest of your summer, thank you.